Cherokee people. Even though we still have it to some degree, out of those four things up there, I think that's probably the most endangered. All right, I already talked about Gadua and Chalagi, but OCO, everybody knows that. It's a pretty common Cherokee word. I hope every Cherokee knows that. Now, some people drop the O off. And I've talked to communities around Oklahoma, and they'll say, oh, we don't even say OCO, we just say CO. But I've talked to other communities that say, I don't know why people shorten it, that's just slang. You're supposed to say OCO. So it depends on who you're talking to, how they say it. Some people will correct you, especially if you're a learner. Another fluent speaker is not going to correct a fluent speaker, but they're going to correct us as learners, which is a good thing. It means that we get a lot of different perspectives. My best understanding is that the O on the front is kind of formal. When you take the time to say OCO, it's like you're being respectful. But if you say CO, it's kind of like saying hi instead of hello or hey. Other people don't have that same belief system. Some people just say CO all the time. It just depends on who you're talking to. We don't really know where it came from. We do know that the root of that word is OC. OC is an old way to say good. Now if you say OC with a long extended O sound, OC, it means stove or hot house, because we used to have these hot houses in the winter. They were also used as sweat lodges when people were sick. But OC by itself, when you just say it real quick, OC, that means good. If you say OCU, that means really good. That U on the end means very much. OCU. And some people will say that instead of OCO. So we're pretty sure that that's where OCO came from. Probably came from the word really good, OCU. It's quite possible. Nobody was there when it started, so we don't know. But that's the best guess we've got. Now, if you take that yo or that u off the end and say OC, I already pointed out that was good. And you can turn that into a question by putting a Jew on there. So everybody say OC Jew. Say it again, OC Jew. OC is good, and the Jew is a question. And we don't have to have question marks in Cherokee because things attached to our words that show questions. Oseju is a polite question. It's kind of rhetorical. It's not a nosy question. It's not mean. It doesn't really ask how good they're doing or really a whole lot of detail is needed. It's kind of that polite question that we ask each other in English. How are you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm great. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Every so often you'll run across somebody that says, oh, I've had the flu for the last week. Last night, my wife left me, and I ran over my dog this morning. And after about 2 minutes, you just wish that they wouldn't tell you anymore. Well, this Jew on the end lets you know it's just a polite question. You don't need to go into a whole lot of detail there. Jew. Now, you take that Jew off and put a duh on there. Olsta. Yeah, that's a short way to say it. It comes from Olseda. Olseda. Now everybody shake your head yes and then that's yes in Cherokee. Now you can stick that on a word and it turns into done. So you can stick that duh on any word and it makes that word affirmative. Is that a bear? Yona done. Is that a boy over there? Choose a done. So it works like that. It makes any response affirmative. So Olseda means yes, good. And as she pointed out, Olsta is the short way to say it. Olsta. Now, a lot of our fluent speakers don't realize that Olsta came from Olsida. And so they'll say Olsta, which is like, good, yes, yes. but that's like really good to them. Olsta, it's what you'll hear, Olsta or Olsta. But some of the old folks still say Olsida. So either way it works. And now you have a simple conversation. Olsijin. Olsida. Now that Tohiju is almost the same. That Jew on the end is that rhetorical question. It's just a polite question. The word tohi by itself, even though it looks like dohi, that do can be pronounced either with a T or a D. You just have to know depending on the word. So at the immersion school, we put a dot under it to show that it's pronounced as a T. So tohi means peace. It means calm. It means chill. So when the kids are running crazy at the immersion school, we'd say, "Come, tohi get nasty." Chill out, calm down. Tohi, tohi. Or if the room's too loud, they'll say, calm, tohi, tohi. Calm down, be quiet. Just tone it down a little bit. Tohi. And it's a value in and of itself. So Sometimes Cherokees are accused of being stoic or reserved. It's because of this value, that we don't want to be too excited, too hyped up. We don't want to show all of our cards at once. We're just kind of careful. So there's that value. So it's a goal. It's like being OC is something that's good, right? Tohi is also something that's good. So it also has to do with wellness. It has to do with health. Noak Tohedan, health with an assistant. World peace. It also means world peace. It's that word at the tongue. So when we say Tohiju, we're asking if you're well. Are you at peace? Are you calm? Is everything nice? It's kind of like a full system. Is everything running properly today? Are you well? Tohiju. You take that Jew off the end and you can put a da on there too. You can answer with Tohida. Tohida. Now, some elders like a Tohi response when they ask a Tohi question. So if they say Tohiju and you say Olsta, sometimes they'll get on to you and they'll say, no, I asked if you were Tohi. But most of the time when people say Tohiju, the answer is Olsidan or Olsta. So most people switch it back and forth. But if you want to, you use that same formula. Olsiju, Olsidan, Tohiju, Tohidan. You guys can have conversations now. Cherokee is polysynthetic. So each word is made up of pieces. Poly, many, synthetic, coming together. So it's like building something out of Legos. So sometimes you can take one piece off and stick it on another piece, or take that piece off and stick it on another. So it has a different way of being put together. This next part, role versus relationship. I'll let you read it. If you can imagine going back into the past, when we had these little villages that we lived in, we didn't run into a whole lot of strangers. If you were from another tribe and you came strolling into a Cherokee town, you better have somebody that speaks your language there. You better be able to speak Cherokee. A lot of times, individuals or even small groups of people just didn't roll into town unannounced because it was a different world back then and things were kind of rough. A lot of times, there were formal ceremonial ways to introduce yourselves and to greet other communities. We didn't have any room for strangers. Cherokees did not know what to do with strangers. So if a Cherokee from another town came to your town, they would say, this is my clan, this is who I am, this is where I came from. And because they had a clan there, they would automatically fit in. They weren't strangers anymore, they were family. But if they weren't Cherokee, we didn't know what to do with them. It was just that simple. And so some of our rural communities in northeast Oklahoma, they're still a lot like that. They might not knock you out for walking into town unannounced, but they will ignore you. And they're not trying to be rude or mean. It's just, as a stranger, you have no role in their life. And the polite thing to do is to ignore you. That's their way of being polite to you. So, first time I went into Kenwood's store, I went in there without my wife. She's from that community. And everybody just looked at me, and then they looked away. They didn't want to, that's all they did, and then they ignored me. But the next time I came in there with her, and they did the same. They talked to her, and they ignored me. They said, Donnie, such and such, how you doing, la-da-da-da-da-da. And they ignored me, but they all ran home, and they said, Donnie brought a dude into the store today. The whole town knew about it. But they didn't know me, so they didn't have any reason to talk to me. My buddy JP, he and I were doing this presentation in Rocky Mountain. That's the community his family's from. It's kind of built by Stillwell. We go to Rocky Mountain, and I'm there with him. And he walks up to one group of people, and like, oh, JP, and they hug him, and they talk to him, and they visit with him. And they talk for a long time. They don't say anything to me. We go to the next group of people. Oh, JP, and they talk to him, and they visit with him. I'm just following him from place to place as they ignore me. And it wasn't because they were being rude. It was because they didn't know me, and they had no reason to know me. I have no impact on them whatsoever. There's no place for me in their world. And it's not rude. This information, this paragraph, came from the Little Community in Peasant Society and Culture. A guy named Robert Redfield wrote that article. Cherokees aren't peasants, but there is a rural culture all around the world. In rural communities, they don't know you who you are based on your role. They know you who you are because they know you personally. They grew up with you, They see you every day. The same 300 people that we saw the night before we went to bed was the same 300 people we were going to see the next day when we woke up. We knew each other. We knew each other very well. And you could not do anything without everybody finding out about it. You couldn't go to the bathroom without people talking about it. Everybody knew what was going on. And in that sort of small community, that was where the foundation of who we are as a people was cemented. So our language, our values, our behaviors, they reflect that culture. Roles are very important. The role of father, the role of mother, the role of grandmother, the role of friend, but not as important to our rural societies as they are to the mainstream. I can go down here and go to McDonald's and expect the same thing at this McDonald's as I get in California. I can go to the McDonald's in Florida or the McDonald's in California, it's all the same. I pull around to the order window, it sounds like a number 2. I don't even have to tell them what it is, they already know. And at some point they're gonna say, would you like to try one of our parfaits, something, something, something. I mean, what they used to say, they always used to say, would you like to supersize that? Well, that movie changed that. But it's their role. It's their role to say that, to suggestive self. And I know that I'm gonna pull around to the first window, and there's gonna be somebody there with black slacks on, with like a brown top. They're gonna have a little headset on. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are, it doesn't matter. They take my money, and I go to the next window, and they give me my food. Same thing, no matter who I am, no matter who they are. It's their role. And it's at McDonald's, so what can I expect? No ketchup and no napkins unless I ask for them, right? That's their role. That's their role. It's not personal. In today's world, we call that professionalism. When we follow our role, oh, I hate that person. Their mom stabbed my grandpa. Oh, but this is professional. Good to see you. How you doing today? You know, I mean that's our role, right? It's our role. In our communities, we didn't have that. It was not based on roles. It was based on first-hand intimate knowledge of each other. Somebody would walk up to you and they're like, oh, how you doing today? It's a beautiful day. I'd say, oh, what's wrong with him? They're not usually nice like that. They must want something. Or somebody could be having a real bad day. And you'd say, oh, I wonder what's wrong with him. They just weren't acting the same. Because we know them. It's not based upon their behavior in that situation. It's not their role. It's because we know them. So there are different behavioral expectations. Let me scroll this a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm a little bit slow, but I'm getting this technology thing down. Why is Cherokee different in English? Rhetorical question. Values, worldview, and spirituality are inherent within the language. Okay, I was up at the immersion school, and those teachers were all sitting around trying to figure out this word, and I was pretty new. I was actually still at the Cultural Resource Center, but I attended one of their meetings. And I said, Ryan, you speak really good English compared to them. Because, Cherokee was their first language. And I didn't speak very good Cherokee. They said, but you can come help us with this. This is a 3rd grade curriculum. We need to be able to describe opposites in Cherokee. We don't know how to do that. I was like, well, right here in this dictionary, opposite is anadilun. Anadilun. Doesn't that mean opposite? Andilun. They say you're saying it wrong. You don't say the ana. You just say andil. Andil. I said, well, does it mean opposite? I said, no. I said, well, that's what it says in the dictionary. They said, well, it means like on the opposite side of the creek, or like on the opposite side of the table. I said, well, that's opposite, right? I said, yeah, but we don't know about this. The opposite of black is white. The opposite of happy is sad. It's not like that in Cherokee. And so they had to educate me. Well, I mean, just as an exercise. We all grew up in public schools, most of us, right? What's the opposite of up? Down. What's the opposite of good? Opposite of happy? Opposite of black? It's natural, right? It's natural. It seems natural. It's not that way in Cherokee. It's because we came from this Western system of education to where we learn to speak English. And the Cherokees could do it in English, but we can't do it in Cherokee. The reason is because there was this guy named Plato. These Greek philosophers, they have this thing called logos, which is logic, or the word. And according to logos, words are defined by their antonyms and synonyms. Antonyms are opposites, synonyms are the same. In Cherokee, we don't have a word that's defined by any other word. The color yellow is just the color yellow. We have up and we have down, and there's a relationship between those words, but there's a lot more words than just up and down in Cherokee. They're related to each other, but they don't define each other. When I was talking to some of our elders, they said each word in Cherokee is uulskading. Uulskading. It stands alone, has its own value. If I were talking about an object being heavy, I would call it gawgedan. Gawgedan. It's physically heavy. Uulskad, uulskadan means metaphorically heavy. Kind of heavy value, heavy meaning, heavy importance. So we have one set of descriptions to talk about physical attributes and another to talk about metaphorical attributes. So this uulskad means that each word is related to other words, but each word really stands alone and can't be defined by any other word. So we really don't have a word that means opposite, not the same word. Kaliwahi, you can guess, no such word. We don't have a word for we don't have a word for perfect. We can look it up in our online dictionary and we get this. Kaliwahi, or in the Bible, sometimes it's Kaliwalsa. But when I started talking to people, it doesn't mean the same thing. Kali means full. Kaliwahi means to its fullest extent. So I could take this cup right here and fill it full to the very top with tea, and it would be Kaliwahi. This Pepsi bottle back here, if it were unopened, right out of the pop machine, that would be Kaliwahi. In fact, I could take it right now and find someone else's Pepsi bottle and fill it all the way up to the top, and it would be Kaliwahi again. Or I could take one of these red Solo cups right out of the package, not used, full of potential, and it's Kaliwahi in its potential. So, in English, we always say things are not perfect. Nothing is perfect. Perfect is this standard that's impossible to reach. People are perfectionists. It has all this negative association with it. But in Cherokee, it's just simply something that's as full as it can be. Now, a human being isn't Kaliwahi until they die. That's when they're done, they're complete. But almost everything else has the potential to be perfect while we're alive from this standard. So if you spoke nothing but Cherokee all your life, you would never say anything like, oh, well, nothing's perfect. This again came from Plato. Those Greek philosophers, there was a group of them, Pythagoreans, they were math worshippers. This is, they weren't like regular Greek pagans, the ones that worship, Zeus and Apollo and all those groovy cats from the movies and the storybooks. These were different types of Greek pagans. They worshiped numbers, they worshiped math, they worshiped ideas. You guys have all heard this, the Platonic relationship, right? Oh, it's just platonic. They aren't messing around. They're just friends. Yeah. Platonic, it's like some sort of an ideal relationship. So Plato came up with this thing called ideal forms. So the true chair is not this chair. The true chair is an ideal chair. It exists in the ether, which is kind of like a mix between outer space and heaven. The real chair is an idea chair. It's ideal, they're related. So the ideal chair exists in the ether, and the artist pulls this idea down and makes a chair, and he says, this is the ideal chair. And the other artist across the way has made a nice, fluffy, cushy chair. And he said, no, the ideal chair that I created is this chair. Neither one of them is the ideal chair, according to Plato. The true ideal form is an idea, and it only exists in the ether. As soon as it becomes physically manifest, it's no longer perfect. This has been taught to us. Maybe not explicitly. Some of you guys knew it from college or maybe even high school. But the average person isn't necessarily taught these things, but it's still a part of how we think and how we see reality. Cherokees, they don't have that. Well, they do now. But monolingual Cherokee speakers, they don't have it. The ones that just speak Cherokee, they don't know about perfection, not by our standard. Friend? Okay, this is the word that I used a lot. I wanted to say, hello, friend, how are you? I wanted to say, Osio, Oginali, Tauhiju. And you hear that a lot from second language speakers, second language learners. When you look up the word friend in the Cherokee dictionary, it gives you that word, Oginali. And it does mean friend, but it's not the friend you're talking to. It's the friend you're talking about. The O up front excludes the person you're talking to. I don't tell you that in the online dictionary, but that O excludes the person you're talking to. So if I say Osioganale, it's like I'm going to introduce somebody as my friend. This person is my friend. That O means me and another person, not you are friends. The funny thing is, in Cherokee, you can't have a friend by itself. All the conjugations of this word are either dual or plural. You can't have a singular friend because they have to be a friend with someone. Can't be a friend by themselves. They have to be friends with somebody. If I want to say me and you are friends, I drop the O off and I say Ginale, Ginale. And I started using it. I'd say Sio Ginale, Tohiju. I'd say, I'll see, whatever, you know. But I noticed speakers would look at me funny when I said it. So finally I said, how come speakers aren't using this word? How come they look at me funny when I use it? And I say, well, Ginale, it kind of means friend. It means you and that person you're talking to are friends, but it really means that you're united. You're united in value and purpose and goal. You're on the same team. So it's a little bit deeper than friends on some level. It's like we are allies. We're united. So Ginale, you and I have just become one. That's what it means. Which is pretty deep. I said, but it doesn't mean you like them. So this isn't even telling you how I feel about you. It just says that we're united. They said it would be kind of like asking somebody to sign a contract when you became friends. It's just not, it's not a normal word you use when you're talking to your friend. How did I know that? Except by asking. This next word, Adageyudi, it kind of means love. Kind of. It's difficult because, go back to Greek, there's a lot more than just one word for love. In English, we're very messy with this word, right? I love chocolate cake. I love my cat Bob. I love my son. I love my wife. I love sunny days. I love the creek. And I love them all differently, right? You'd hope. In Cherokee, my grandma was not very friendly. Well, I knew she loved me, but she didn't tell me she loved me. She didn't hug me. I used to go and I would hug her, and she would just go like this. And I'd say, Grandma, I love you, and she'd say, okay. But as time went on, I interpreted her behavior as love. So she'd say, Ryan, you get in here and you clean up your mess. That meant she loved me. That's what it meant. Now, on the other side of my family, Grandma used to hug me and kiss me and call her Grandma's special boy. So I got the mushy stuff from that side. I noticed that my mom's mom was not a mushy person. By the time I was learning Cherokee, she had already passed away, but my grandpa had a sister who also had me call her Grandma, so I called her Grandma too. And I wanted to be able to talk to her in Cherokee and tell her I loved her. So I learned the word, Gagayu. Gagayu. Gagayu, at least that's what I would say. And I thought, maybe the reason that my other grandma wasn't giving me the reaction I wanted was because I was speaking English. But when I said it to her, I said, Gagayu. She said, yes. I knew there had to be something going on. So I went to elders and I said, what's wrong with this word, Gagayu? I've used it for my grandma, I've used it on my wife, I've used it on some ex-girlfriends. What does it really mean? Does it really mean I love you? Because that ga at the front, it means me to you. Ga, gay you, me to you. Gay you, I figured that was the love you part. I love you, me to you, I love you. And I said, well, it really means stingy. 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 So when I was saying gay, I was saying I'm stingy with you. But, you know, it's true. There's that part of love, right? So I said, is there another way to say I love you? They said, well, you can say gulagwadi. That same "ga" is on the front. Me, you, gulagwadi. But it means, well, if I like something, I say agilukti. I can say chocolate cake, agilukti. My cat Bob, agilukti. About anything but a human being, I say agilukti. But the word changes when I'm talking about a human. Talk about Donnie, I say gilagwadi. Chuji, gilagwadi. Even Mark William over there, I could say gilagwadi. It means I like. But when you're talking about a person, it almost sounds like the word sacred. Galagwadi. Galagwadi. Gilagwadi. It means I like them this much. It's like I have them in an elevated position. I have a high value for them. Galagwadi. I have a high value for you. So it doesn't mean romantic love. It means I hold them in high regard. And I was talking to he's one of my cousins. His name was Boss Cummings, Jigesa. And he said that there are these 4 words for love in Cherokee. Dejada geyu sayesti. Dejada lagwo desti. Dejada niya sayesti. Dejada stelis gesti. And he said there are some others. So I started talking to different old folks, and Benny Smith said, you know, I'm from a different community than him, but the way my family said is there are these specific 4 words that if you live them, if you use them, they're action words. They're not feeling words, they're action words. And if you do these actions, you'll be showing love. So that gayu is a part of it. The gayu part, the middle part, that's the root of it. Gayu, gayu. Ga means me to you, but the gayu is the middle part. So if you say, Dejada gayu sayesti, that gayu is still in the middle. Dejada gayu sayesti. The Dejada is y'all to each other. Gayu is the stingy. And sayesti is from here on out. Dejada gayu sayesti. Be stingy with each other's existence from here on out. It means love each other. But you know, nobody is guaranteed the next morning, right? We all have a finite existence. And if you are not careful with yourself, you use yourself up that much more quickly. Those people that had to work real hard during the Depression era, those people back when they had child labor, back when people used to be worked way too hard, their lives were a lot shorter. So we know we can use one another up. This teaching, Dejada geyu sayesti, means be conservative with each other. You don't want to use each other up. You want to be stingy with each other's welfare, stingy with each other's existence. That word, I like it, agilukti. I could use it for chocolate cake. Or for a person, gilagwadi. Has that at its root, lugwad, lugwad. And it's related to that word, galugwad, for sacred. Lugwad, you say Dejada lugwad desti. Follows that same pattern. Dejada, y'all to each other. Lugwad, high value. Desti, from here on out. Dejada lugwad desti. Have high regard for each other. Hold each other up. We have more than one word for sacred. One word means some things are more important than others. That Dejada lugwad desti means treat each other as one of those things that's more important than others. Have high regard for one another. I don't care how big of a bum somebody is. If you're living this teaching, you're going to find something of value that you could look up to in that person. They will have something of value about them that you can admire. Another one is Dejada sayesti. No, I said it wrong. I said y'all go out and wrestle. You say it right. Dejada sayesti. Pops up in the middle. Dejada sayesti. They follow the same pattern. Dejada geyu sayesti. Dejada lugwad desti. Dejada sayesti. That means struggle to hold on to each other, like grapple with each other. Because if you really care about somebody, you're not going to let go of them. You're not going to find any reason to let go of them, to let anything come between you and them. Dejada sayesti. Now, if you say it flat, Dejada sayesti means go fight. But it paints almost the same picture, where you're grappling with each other. Now this has to be a two-way street, because if it's just one person towards another, that's illegal. That's stalking. You get arrested for that. But if you're in a positive relationship, a loving relationship, day-to-da, kliya, sayesti, hold on to one another and never let go. And the fourth one, they ulskedi, day-to-da, yela, sayesti. That ulskedi, I talked about a while ago. Each word has its own value. It means heavy value and importance. And if you stretch it out, ulskedi, it makes it even more important. There's another word. Some things are more sacred than others, but there's this word that means everything has value. Everything is sacred. Everything is medicine. And that's where this word comes from. The idea that ulskedi has a heavy value. There's nobody in the entire universe that's exactly like me. Never was there somebody, never will there be anybody. There's nobody like you. We're created unique. Unique, like snowflakes. So this word, ulskedi, really paints that picture of unique importance. That second word, day-to-da yela, says he follows the same patterns as the words before. Day-to-da, y'all to each other. Yela, we'll get back to that sesti from here on out. The yela, it's in that word talagihi ayetli. Talagihi, Cherokee place. Ayetli, the center. Ayetli could be the center of a bullseye. Ayetli could be anything cut in half. Ayetli could be 50 cents. Agiyetli is my body. It's my center. But it's not my entirety. There's a lot more to me than this body, because when I'm asleep, I'm not at my full potential. That's just my body right there. There's a lot more to me than just my body. Agiyela is my body. Dejadayela sesti. It also means image. So when you say Dejadayela sesti, liken yourself to one another's image. So uskedi Dejadayela sesti. Liken yourself to that which is sacred in each other. We're unique, have heavy importance. Easy translation, treat each other as sacred. But it's a lot deeper than that. If you get to know somebody, you really take the time to get to know them and know their nature, they have something special about them. And you can improve yourself by getting to know them and learning from that person. That's what that teaching tells us. So that's a lot of explanation for this word, love. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Hey, we're humming along nicely. I've cut a lot of stuff out, guys. Origin of medicine and tobacco. But above that it says leadership. Servant-based, inverted pyramid, non-coercive historical roots. I needed a period there. The system we have now, a modern Republican, as in representative, democratic system, with politically elected leaders that serve office for a specific number of years and walk away. It's based on the European system. It's not ours. Our old system had a different way of doing things. Leadership. Each community had a chief, and it was his job to be the servant for the community. And he had other leaders that helped serve the community, and he served them. It was like an inverted pyramid. It was the leader's job to take care of everybody else. It was that simple. And the people in that community, they would take care of guests and they would take care of each other, but it was the leader's job to take care of everyday people. So the leaders, they were servants, and it was supposed to be non-coercive. So the leaders didn't say, hey, y'all be doing this, don't be doing that, you need to act better, you need to be doing this, you don't need to be doing that. They didn't get on each other. They say that chief, he had a speaker. He was the one to give public speeches. If he was going to tell people what to do, it would have been through that speaker. The chief was supposed to lead by example. He was supposed to be an elder person. He was chosen because of his kindness, his wisdom, and his generosity. And people would follow by example. There were lots of other people that did different jobs. And they were all chosen because of their abilities. A long time ago in those villages, they say about 1/3 of the community held leadership positions. The other 2/3 either probably too young or they had already retired from their leadership leadership position. So there was always a place for everybody. There was a place for everybody. So we had a different concept of leadership than we do by today's standards. Also back then, leaders held their position for life unless they screwed up and people threw them down. It was kind of a different system. Today, Cherokees are respectful of leaders. We're respectful of people in authoritative positions. We respect authority. Only to a certain degree, though. We show them respect up front. We show everybody respect up front. And just by virtue of them being a human, we show them respect. We show our leaders respect as leaders, but we don't respect them because they're leaders. They became leaders because they had our respect. If at some point they no longer deserve our respect, then they're no longer our leaders. So when people come to work at Cherokee Nation, they're always amazed at the amount of insubordination they see. It really depends on what department they're in. Because every couple of years, they'll stick a new manager over this department of people. And if that person is not exhibiting leadership qualities, 6 months to a year later, they're gone. Because they can't lead. And nobody will do what they tell them to do. It's just that simple. It's like herding cats. Origin of medicine and tobacco. Here's another story. So you walk in. Long time ago, they say after the world was made, the universe was new, almost everything was really similar to each other. All the animals were similar to other animals, all the plants were similar to the other plants, and they always were. They started fussing and fighting. Now, I don't know if it was because they were too much the same or if they wwere too much different, but nobody knows why, but they were always fussing and fighting. The Nunehana came down and said, come, it's not the game. Tohin, chill out, be good. I don't want to see any of you fighting anymore. I'm tired of it. Tell you what, if y'all can go 7 days and 7 nights without fussing and fighting, everybody gets a gift. Everybody gets Nawati. Nawati, it's medicine. Nawati, it sounds like Uwadu, which is beauty. Nawati, Uwadu. Awati is the red paint. That sounds like Nawati too. Uwodage, that's the color brown. Related to beauty. Sounds like medicine. Nawati. Tlawatu, that's mud. It doesn't sound as much like medicine, Tlawatu, but you can use mud for medicine. So, Nawati isn't defined by any of these words, but you can see how it's related to those words. The Navajo, they call beauty Hojo. And they have a prayer where they say, Hojo before me, Hojo behind me, Hojo to the right of me, Hojo to the left of me, Hojo above me, Hojo below me. I walk in Hojo, I walk in beauty. Cherokees, Nawati, it sounds enough like Uwadu, beauty, to where we can say that they're definitely related, even though we're not Navajo. Nunehana said, you all be good for 7 days and 7 nights, and each of you will get a gift of medicine. But I'm going to ask you to fast for 7 days and 7 nights without food or sleep. And if you can do that, you get the best medicine. I said, we can do it. Long story short, they all were nice to each other the whole time. So everybody got medicine. But not everybody stayed away. Not everybody went without food. Everybody did real well on the first night and on the second night. But on the third night, some of them fell out. Some of them had to eat, some of them had to sleep. Just couldn't help it. It was like those little flowers that come up in spring that you don't see any other time of the year. They were some of the first to fall asleep. And some of the first to eat were like those little mayflies. They only come out of the water and they're just there for a little bit, maybe a night or two, and then they're gone. Well, everybody rallied on the fourth night. They all worked together as a team. They wouldn't let anybody else fall asleep. They wouldn't let anybody else eat. But on the fifth night, some of them snuck off on their own. I said, maybe he won't notice. A little chocolate on the side of their face. There were a lot of animals that didn't make it through the fifth night. Some of them ate, some of them fell asleep. Same with a lot of the plants. Some of the things that sleep through the winter, like those little squirrels, those ground squirrels, possum. raccoons, even big things like bears. They fell asleep on the fifth night. On the sixth night, almost everybody had fallen out. Hardly anybody made it through the sixth night. Even the big trees like the oaks and the sycamores and the cottonwoods, even they fell asleep. Where on the seventh night, when Nathan and I came back down and was walking around, those that were able to do it, there were just a few animals. Those included panther, hoot owl, and wolf. And of the plants, it was just those things like the cedar, the pine tree, the holly, and the spruce. When Nathan and I said, "Come on, God, eat it tonight," everybody line up. And the ones that stayed awake without food or sleep were the first in line. The ones that fell asleep or ate something on the sixth night were the next group, then the ones on the fifth night, and then so on. Until at the very end of the line was humankind. Now, humankind wasn't the first to go to sleep or the first to eat, but that human went last. Maybe because they felt guilty, maybe because they felt bad because they couldn't do it the whole time. They didn't have to be last, but that person went last back there. And Nathan and I looked back there and said, "Hey, look at that human back there, very last one. Just because of that, I'm going to give you something special." Well, those other animals and plants said, "Oh, we want to be last." And they started trying to get back to the back of the line, but Nathan and I said, "Too late, I already made up my mind." So they all got right back in front of that human. And it took a long time, but that line got shorter and shorter and shorter. And I don't know how long it took, but one of those days, weeks, or months later, that human being was standing in front of Unai. And Unai said, "Come, Saki, lay down. Go to sleep." It was just that simple. When that human woke up, got up, stretched around, didn't look any different, no real obvious changes. Looked back behind, right there, on the ground, right where that person was laying, there was this plant growing there. Not a very special plant. Kind of looked like, I don't know, a little bit like corn, but it had fuzzy leaves, and the leaves got smaller as they got up. And at the top of that plant were these little yellow flowers. And Nathan and I said, "Come, that's Jolie. Jolie. Ajila, holding fire in the mouth. Tobacco." Every one of those plants and animals that's come before, they will trade you a piece of their medicine if you give them a piece of that tobacco. Anytime you're in need, if you need something from a plant, from an animal, before you take it, pray to me, you offer a piece of that tobacco. It's like a covenant. If you need to take something from the woods, if you need it for food or for medicine, you take a piece of that tobacco and you talk to it and you leave it there, and that animal or that plant will lend you its medicine. It'll lend you some of that gift. It's like a covenant between us and God. Even the spirits have to recognize it. There could be a house full of people and they'd be suffering and they'll be crying. Something bad has happened. And they're inconsolable. Somebody will come to the right person and they'll say they need you to make medicine for that house. That person will take their tobacco out and they'll pray to God and they'll put those words in that tobacco that help bring everything back down to peace. And they put those words in that tobacco, and even those people's spirits will recognize the power of that tobacco. So that's our medicine that we were given. Tobacco is poisonous. It will kill you. We know that for a fact. There is scientific evidence to prove to us that tobacco is deadly dangerous. Now, there are always people that live to their 80s or 90s that smoke every day of their life, but they're anomalies. The average person that really becomes addicted to tobacco will suffer because of it. They say that's how that medicine is. Everything is medicine. And if you abuse it or use it for pleasure, it will hurt you. Even the water, you can drink too much water. Anything, you can have too much of anything. That's how that tobacco works. All right, conflict resolution. Our internal perspective, they call it diyukta, the white path or red path. The external perspective is more interesting. We'll come back to the internal perspective. The external perspective was quoted by Robert K. Thomas, the same guy that did that paper up at the front of the page. He said, Cherokees give freely of resources and time. And I think that's true. I think Cherokees would agree with that. When I was in strategy, we had a group of people together and they wanted us to come up with the traditional economic statement. And we had a bunch of fluent Cherokee speakers in there, and I didn't know what the traditional economic statement was either. So we got out our dictionaries and our encyclopedias. We studied capitalism, we studied socialism, we studied all of it. And I said, okay, does that help you guys? Can you describe it? And they said, no. Well, what happened when you were little? How did things happen? Did we barter? Did we trade? I said, no. So they started telling stories, and we started writing words in Cherokee, and we came up with a sentence, and we translated it from Cherokee to English, and the sentence said, when somebody asks you for something, you give it to them. Ooh, that's painful. You can see why we lost our land. They said, but the thing is, if they ask you for something that hurts you or hurts them, you have to say no. You have to. Now, if it's just an inconvenience or if it's an annoyance, you have to help. But if it's really going to hurt them or hurt you, you can say no. They say, but when somebody asks you for something, you give it to them. And that's the end of it. You expect nothing in return. Nothing in return. You're done as soon as you give what they've asked for. I said, but on the other hand, the person that's asking is supposed to remember that, and they're supposed to give you something in return. It's not up to you, because as soon as you've given in the first place, you're done. But the one asking, it's up to them. It's on them. If they want to give you something 10 years from now, 1 year from now, right then, something of value, something of importance, it's not negotiated. Whatever they want to give you, even if it's a handshake, they have to give you something in return. So that's our traditional economic statement. And it seems to be really tied to our medicine story. They say that a long time ago, people used to visit each other. Not just for 30 minutes on the phone, not just dropping on each other's Facebook profile, but they used to visit each other days at a time. So I remember when I was growing up, we used to have people come and stay with my grandma and my grandpa that I didn't even know. We had one guy that we just called Uncle, that he would come at least once a year and he would stay a week there. And I had no clue who he was. I know he's not my uncle. But every night my grandma would have a pot of beans on and people would come and they would eat. It was just the way it was. People would come and they would visit. They say a long time ago, you would stop whatever you were doing and you would visit. You didn't just give resources, you gave freely of your time. So you could be out plowing your field, and as soon as a guest dropped by, you would stop working in the field and you would go and greet them and you would visit with them. You didn't say, wait a minute, I'll be done in 30 minutes, I'll be right there. Or just give me 5 minutes, I'll be right there. They stopped what they were doing and they gave each other time. Now, if they were good guests, they would come and help them. But if they weren't, then they would just stay there until that guest went home, until they were done. So we used to give freely of time and resources. The second part of it, well, no open confrontation. We'll talk about that. It was better to use gossip, ostracism, and witchcraft. I've never heard a Cherokee say that statement. This is an outsider looking at us, watching our behavior, saying, this is what Cherokees were doing back in the 60s. Now, this is not what we would say, but I can explain it. Gossip. We didn't call it gossip, we called it communication. Because we didn't, well, the thing was, everything true happened behind each other's back. I could stand up here in front of you guys and tell you exactly how wonderful Maura is. I could tell you all the wonderful things Maura does, how you should listen to Maura and just really follow this woman around and look at her. She's uncomfortable, right? She says, I wish you would shut up. And the rest of you are going, why is he buttering her up? What does he want? He wants something out of this. So, immediately my behavior is circumspect. Now, if I really wanted you to believe me when I said nice things about Maura, I would wait until she left the room. Right? So even good information about people is done behind people's back. Bad information. Okay, put yourself back in one of those ancient villages. You saw the same 300 people the day before, the next day. You didn't want to get in a fight, because it could last a long time. So you see somebody, maybe Maura's doing something I really think is terrible. I just can't believe she's doing it. I'm concerned for her welfare. I'm concerned for her son's welfare. But I don't want to say anything. I don't want to cause any problems. But my grandma knows her grandma, and they're like this. So I go to my mom and I say, Mom, do you think we need to talk to Grandma about what Maura's doing? I'm really worried. Mom goes, yeah, why not to? So we talk to Grandma, and she goes, oh, I better talk to her grandma. So my grandma talks to her grandma, and her grandma talks to her. No harm, no foul. No big deal. Everybody's cool. See, those clan mothers, really anybody over a certain age that had grandkids was kind of a clan mother. People didn't live a long time back then. And those older Cherokee women, especially once they were done with childbearing age, they had a lot of authority. You got to remember, you got your clan from your mom, so the mom owns the kids. Mom has a mom, so mom owns her too. So grandma owns everybody. The women owned the corn growing in the fields. About 80% of our diet came from agriculture, and the women owned it. When young men got married, they left their mom's house and they moved in with their wife's family.